Why does the black man serve the white man? Why does everything the black man do benefit the white man? Why does the black man say freedom is doing what I want to do? And why is it that everything he wants to do enriches the European?
Welcome to the desert of the real.
Peace, everybody. This is your boy, Mr. Holipsism. Haven't spoken to the family in a while. I ain't gonna get into all the stuff that's been going on in my life. That's, whatever. Just wanted to reach out and put something out into the atmosphere that's been heavy on my mind. And I think where I'm at mentally is that I'm just really frustrated and tired with Africans here in America. I'm tired of Africans across the diaspora, and I'm tired of Africans on the continent. One thing that I always use this analogy, and it always seems to withstand the test of time. If you have 10 people and you put them in a room, right? And the room is dark. There's a light socket on the ceiling and a working light bulb on the floor. If you come back and check those 10 people out, let's say 24 hours later, and the room is still dark, and the light bulb, the working light bulb, is still on the floor, but no one has put the light into the working light socket and given the room light, when there were more than enough people to do it, then I have to question whether the goal is for the room to be with light. Are all of those 10 people going to argue about who's going to put the light inside of the light bulb into the light socket? Is that the important thing, or is it important for the room to be with light? Because if the important thing was for the room to be with light, it wouldn't matter who put it in. The first person would get on their knees and get on the floor. The next person would climb up on them, and they would build a tower until the last person could climb on up and put that bulb into the socket, and then the room would be with light. And I use that analogy because that's how I feel about African people obtaining power. And I'm going to use specifically Africa. I'm going to put a graphic up. Two graphics. One is a graphic showing you just a little bit of the natural resources on the continent. And another graphic is going to be showing you the size of the continent. The reason why I show those graphics is because, can you imagine what our lives would be like in America if black people controlled Africa? Can you imagine what our lives would be like in Africa if black people controlled Africa? Can you imagine what our lives would be like in the diaspora if black people controlled Africa? And why don't black people control Africa? For the same reason why that room, 24 hours later, with 10 people in it, and a working light bulb on the floor, and a working socket in the ceiling, the same reason why that room is still dark. It's amazing how our egos are when it comes to each other, but we can't muster up that same ego against our enemies. I just find that interesting. It's like we will go hard body against each other. We will fight and scratch and claw and engage in debates and engage in bullshit, engage in one-upmanship, dick measuring, all that shit. We will engage in that until the cows come home with each other. But when it comes to showing our dominance against another group, showing that we deserve to hold power, showing that we know what it's like to hold power, that we are thinking progressively in terms of looking at our people and looking at the future, what do? We turn into workers. Oh, let the white man run. Let the white man run the infrastructure. Why should we be concerned about that? I mean, think about it. That's what the argument is. When we talk about Africa, we talking about land. And also, I'm not talking about land on going to another African country that's already established and building up that African country. I mean, that can come later on. But black African people here in America and across the diaspora don't have a land of their own. So we need to carve out our place on the continent so that we can stop being looked at as not being African because we're not on the continent. That's the biggest thing. Nobody wants to accept being African, yet everybody's over there carving up Africa. And I'm telling you, Africa has to be on the table if we're going to have a serious discussion. And if we're going to talk about the future of our people, it damn well better be on the fucking table. You have to be a goddamn idiot for it not to be on the table. You're talking about having a future for our people in America where we don't control shit? Like I said, my best case scenario of our experience here in America is for us to be a successful satellite community. When a nation state is established, we will be the first ones to do direct trade with it. So the entrepreneurs over here in America will have a benefit to a nation state. And our communities in America would reflect our success as a nation state. So that's what I see. I see it as a satellite community. But to think that you're going to have a base of operations here inside of America, that you're going to protect that base of operations by getting arms and getting an army, get the fuck out of here. How does anybody think that that's feasible? So you're going to go against the Navy, the Army, the Marines, Special Forces, all this shit inside the country. And this is what, I wanted to do a video on Black Wall Street a while ago because we keep acting as if the results of Black Wall Street wouldn't have been any different. Like, oh, well, the reason why we got because we didn't arm ourselves. Arm yourselves against who? You're going to take on the military of the United States of America inside of the United States of America? Really? What type of arms could they have had to could have avoided the destruction of that? See, we got to learn from the past, man. And I swear I've been having conversations with people, and we obviously don't know what it's like to hold power, and we ain't even thinking about holding power. You can just tell by the type of conversations that we're having, the topics that we're talking about. That's why my answer to everything is land, infrastructure, nationhood. Yo, Holip, how you feel about interracial dating? Land, infrastructure, nationhood. Yo, what do you feel about this homosexual agenda? They trying to turn everybody gay. Land, infrastructure, nationhood. Well, what about these kids out here? What about the lyrics in these hip hop songs? And disrespecting the black woman and blah 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 blah. Land, infrastructure, nationhood. Well, what about the kids wearing their pants hanging down past their ass? What do you feel? Land, infrastructure, nationhood. Well, what do you feel about the police killing our people and just getting away with it? Land, infrastructure, nationhood. What do you feel about the prison population? How come it's 2 million people in prison in America and about 800,000 of them are black folks? Land, infrastructure, nationhood. See, we keep going around and around and around and around to avoid. We want to have, it's just like, I feel like Paul Mooney. He said, everybody want to be a nationalist, but nobody want to be a nationalist. You know what I'm saying? Like he said, everybody want to be black, nobody wants to be black. I feel the same way about nationalism and nation. Everybody want a nation, but nobody don't want a nation. You want to have all of the dressing and accessories of nationhood, all the mentality. Like I hear people talking about we got to be black first, centered, black centered first, race first, blah, 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 and all of this nonsense. But when you start talking about holding land, building infrastructure, having a nation, controlling economies, controlling industries, then all of a sudden everybody backs away from that. Oh, I don't want to talk. Oh, you talking that back to Africa shit? What? Yo, this is going to be a process that is going to, and it can be a successful process. I don't want to seem doom and gloom because I'm not doom and gloom. I'm actually very positive about where we're headed because the level of the conversation in some circles has been elevated to nationhood. We're having nationhood conversations. I love the B.A.I.O group on Facebook. I love you guys to death because you guys post relevant, practical information. There's no whining about religion in our group. There's no whining about social issues and all. What our group basically deals with is infrastructure related, land related, and nationhood related. So I get articles about technologies, emerging technologies in Africa, or emerging technologies that's headed by black people here in America. Or I get articles about renewable energy and articles about economies and currencies and stuff like that. The conversation that people who want to hold power should be talking about. If I'm the head of a nation, am I going to be in a room with other diplomats and other, statesmen and bureaucrats of our nation talking about how I feel about somebody's personal choice and who they married and who they fucking? I'm going to be wasting my time doing that when I got an economy to deal with, I got infrastructure to deal with, I got jobs that would need to be created. You know what I'm saying? This is stuff that landlords talk about, owners talk about, leaders talk about. And if you're not doing that, then what we're doing is we're basically grinding our wheels. I mean, I see the topics, these recycled topics that people just keep going on and on about. It's like you keep repeating the same goddamn thing 1,000 times as if it's still relevant. I don't care about natural hair. I mean, we've seen enough natural hair videos about, why people wearing weaves and all. I don't give a shit about that, man. When are we going to have a place that we control from the top to the bottom? Because that's how you develop your culture. I hear all kinds of madness. Oh, we got to have our culture first and then get the fuck out of here. Culture is tied to land. If you're going to have a functional culture, you better have some goddamn land that you can control. Because what culture do we have here in America where we don't control shit and we trying to develop a culture? So we're going to develop a culture here in America where we don't control shit, and then we're going to go to Africa where we finally get control over some shit? Really? Y'all got this shit backwards, man. But anyway, I don't know. This didn't really have no specific point to it, but I just wanted to reach out to y'all, let y'all know where my head is at. There's a lot more minutia to what I'm thinking, but I'm not going to go into it now until I get myself to the point where I can attack a subject directly. Right now, this was just a freestyle. I just put the mic on and just started talking. So I want to reach out to you people later, and I hope your new year has been good so far. We're headed into March. And I know I intend to do a lot more traveling this year than I did last year. I didn't do any last year. So that's my goal. And I will holler at you good people later. Peace.